First run in 1932, the RAC Rally of the Test became the benchmark for hard-fought competitive rallying, later morphing into a fully fledged forest stage rally. In partnership with the RAC, Hero Events returned the rally to its authentic roots in 2016, and the great success of that event has ensured a full entry for this year's Epic.
It's probably one of the best rallies on the whole annual circuit. I've done every one since 2005, and I think it's one of the ones you always say, you know, if you're only going to do a few, make sure you do Rally of the Test in the year. It's a great event.
It's got everything. Easy tests, got long, hard, difficult tests. It's got tough night navigation, a lot of driving to do. I just love it. You get a badge for doing this rally, so people put them on their hats or coats or lapels. So I've been sticking them on the lapels of this jacket, which only sees daylight once a year.
It's quite a difficult, long event. Plenty of points up for grabs. I think I need to do reasonably well on this in order to secure the championship, but we'll see how it goes. I bought the green 911, the good old Green Peril, my original rally car. It's not eligible for the overall awards, but it's still eligible for championship points.
We are here for the Hero Rally of the Tests, for which Dad and I have no idea what we're doing, but what's the worst that can happen? We'll see how it goes, as long as it doesn't rain, but I mean, it was raining already, so that'll be interesting.
29 tests, 21 regularities, 2 time control sections and 780 miles spread over 3.5 days through the classic rallying terrain of England and Wales' tricky winter roads will present man and machine with one of the toughest rallies on the calendar. Outside of scrutineering, teams were then able to tend to any minor problems or to make last-minute modifications. Some crews had their work cut out for them, even before leaving the car park.
We tried to fix the sensor to the machine that tells us where it goes.
Yeah. That's better. Okay.
We've moved it back again to stop it rubbing, but we don't know if that damage is terminal or not. We like a bit of drama in the Frost household. We had a problem with the trip meter. It wasn't picking up and reading at all. So we've fitted another sensor and rejigged the sensor. But in fitting the rear wheel, they've caught the flexos on the wheel weights. So we've got a bit of a hole in the brake pipe now. It's only 3 hours to kick off, so nothing like leaving it to the last minute.
Yeah, I was feeling really fine until about an hour or two ago. We've plotted everything, we've done the measured distance, we've been scrutineered, checked the oil, checked the water, checked everything we can possibly think of, like 3 or 4 times.
We even had time to do our hair. Now we've still got 2 hours to go, so we're waiting for the start now, and
it's just starting to panic me a little bit because you don't feel like you've done everything.
Designed for advanced crews, the RAC Rally of the Test is a trial of skill and endurance for both the teams as well as their machines. Just studying the maps alone, it soon became clear exactly what sort of undertaking crews were letting themselves in for.
It's very complex. There's loads of different types of navigation, loads to do with maps, which is brilliant. You've got tulips for the transport sections, such a variation, so many good tests, loads of different conditions with off-road and on-road and tracks and circuits, lots to look forward to.
The attraction of this one is that you get a variety of different ways of defining the route, and I think that those people who are sort of into that sort of thing find that a better challenge than doing something maybe which is a little bit more straightforward than just tulip diagrams.
To ease competitors in, Thursday evening would see a prologue that comprised of 2 regularities and 2 tests. The route would take us from Carden Park along the Welsh Marches and briefly into Wales before returning to HQ just outside of Chester.
It's the first ever time we've done one of this type of rally. I've done much forest rallying and road rallying over the years, but I've never done a regularity style rally before, so looking forward to doing the Monty in 2019, and this is in at the deep end to try and learn how to do the regularity style rallying, really.
I like doing things in an inappropriate car, and this car is not the right car for this rally, but I did it last year and it was such a brilliant rally. Car is a 1937 Derby Bentley. It is my reserve car because the other one that I was in last year has been sold on to a new owner in Holland, and the other one's not ready yet, so this one's been dug out of retirement.
What do you think the challenges are going to be?
Getting to the finish?
As start time approached, there was the distinct buzz of excitement in the air.
Can't wait. Butterflies are going and we're ready for whatever they've got to throw at us.
I left it upstairs in the room, so I've just had to dash back upstairs to collect it. I was about to move the car into the liner with my steering wheel. It's the bane of my life, this. I tried to get out of it, and the guy said that I had to come back because I'd won it last year and I had to be car 1, so that was it. It's the best event in the calendar, isn't it? You know, it's the one everybody wants to win.
Setting off from the beautiful surroundings of Carden Park, a total of 93 competitors from all over the globe eagerly embraced the approaching darkness of the prologue, the traditional start to what has become a must-do event in the historic rallying world. Flat caps, tweeds and even more eccentric dress choices kicked off the event in a suitably nostalgic manner. Regularity 1 started to the northwest of Belton near Wackley Farm, and while the route instruction seemed easy enough to follow, the first timing point was situated at the end of a farm track and very easy to miss in the dark. Yet despite a few early tricks, navigation bragging rights went to Ian Tully, who guided driver Howard Warren into the top spot, with a team of Paul Crosby and Andy Pullin in close second. Test 1 would take place at Rednall Kart Track, where even in the cold darkness, a crowd had gathered to witness the first real action of the rally. Suited to the more nimble machines, the Minis and Porsches were expected to do well, and so it turned out, with 5 of the top 6 being one of the 2 marks. Crosby just holding off De Vargas Machuca, both in 911s. Containing a short link section, Regularity 2 semi-marked map deliberately omitted some junctions, forcing crews to decide on their own route part of the way to Wrexham and the Demon Tweaks Motorsport Superstore and Warehouse, the location for the second test of the Prologue.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Jonathan Hancock and Richard Lambley were lightning quick on the test in their 1962 Triumph TR4, while Paul Crosby used the full power of his 911, literally throwing the Porsche around the course for an excellent time of 1 minute and 14 seconds. Hero Events regulars Stephen Owens and Ian Mitchell in their 911 put in a time of 1 minute 23 seconds for a position of 5th in class. This made up for a directional mishap on the previous test at Rednall Kart Track. For some though, the second test also provided some unforeseen challenges, as when the driver's side door of Van der Goot and Welling Staxon flew open, or Stanley and Northmore's obvious disappointment over their Triumph stalling right from the off. Crossing back into England, Carden Park HQ was a welcome sight, and for many, a good night's rest was in order. For others, it was time to work on their cars or to reflect on their performance so far.
How's your evening going?
Eventful, sort of wavering towards the horrendous side. We just didn't get it together at all. We missed the tight left-hander on the go-karting track. So, but we did a good test on the last test, so that was the enjoyable part of the evening. Always finish on something nice.
The first test was surprising as well. First starting on tarmac and then suddenly changing over to gravel. Funny, yes.
It's an old car and it's not very fast and it's not very handy, and those lanes were very small and those tests were very tight. So it's been challenging.
You haven't put it on the main beam yet, though. Dip them.
Was there anything you did around?
We've got a bit of an illumination problem, or lack of. Makes it rather hard, particularly if you're on the first test. You couldn't see where we were going.
And spot.
At dinner, Guy Woodcock was on hand to recognise some of the veterans of previous Rally of the Tests.
This used to be something that was done in the past. Can I ask anybody who has done 8 or more Rally of the Tests to stand up, please?
The informality at the hotel bar allowed for some honest assessments.
How are we doing?
Fantastic.
Oh
Fantastic.
yeah, really well.
As they say, exceeding expectations.
Yes.
So far.
Yeah.
And look, there are an awful lot of people who are slower than us.
There are indeed.
Awful lot.
Yeah.
An awful lot who are faster than us.
And traditionally, posting of the evening's results would determine the starting order in the morning. Friday dawned, and after a hearty breakfast, teams prepared for the first full day of the rally. It was clear, however, that some of the machinery was showing signs of the rigours of the night before.
Today's a long, long day, 12 hours. Tomorrow probably the same, and Sunday will be, a good 8 hours. So it's very easy to go back down to where we belong, which is at the back of the field, meaning not in reverse order or reseated, but simply not that good. But we try hard, and that's the fun of it.
Last time was terrible, but having spoken to everybody else who also said it was terrible, and then finding ourselves still on the first page, we're not too dissatisfied, but one day we'll get it right on the prologue.
Day one's route would take crews through the picturesque Cheshire countryside and the Peak District, through Yorkshire and into Lancashire, to the overnight halt at Redworth Hall near Darlington. But the first test of the day would take place on the grounds of Carden Park itself, in an exciting crash around the main car park. Thomas de Vargas Machuca was perhaps a little overexcited as he tried to navigate his way around the cones, but he and Nick Bloxham still managed to put in a cracking time nonetheless. Bill Kleindert and Dan Harrison showed just how well they could handle the Morris Mini Cooper, making the spins around the cones look almost effortless. In true Crosby style, Paul and navigator Andy Pullin seemed eager to impress by showing off some energetic, deft handling. As the name Rally the Test implies, the morning was going to see them come thick and fast. The next two took place in the grounds of Bolesworth Castle, home to the Barber family since 1856. Still on fine form, Thomas was happily throwing the Porsche around with joyous abandon. He, along with the other competitors, left leaves swirling in whirlwinds of speed as they departed the castle grounds for the drive to Alton Park. Paul Blogsich and John Yude were in their element, their Porsche 911, just flying around the infamously slippy rally circuit.
30 right, 45 left.
Unfortunately, Stephen Rogers and John Shute in their Lancia Fulvia seemed a little out of sorts when they overshot the turnoff. Jenny van der Bol deftly guided Laurens van der Velde in their Ford Escort as it tackled the almost glass-like surface, which was also proving a little tricky for the likes of Stuart Anderson and Lee Powley's Bentley Derby, losing the rear at every turn. But once in the open at the Cheshire Showground, the Bentley proved to be an awesome ride. First batch of tests done, and it was time for a well-earned tea break.
At
absolutely fantastic. Some great tests this morning. The showground was actually looked simple, but was actually really tricky because you kept seeing controls. Shut up! I'm doing an interview here. Pipe down.
The regularity that followed the coffee stop employed a descriptive style of navigation that was used in the very first RAC rallies after the Second World War. The instructions, although quite clear, have to be read as a whole and not piecemeal, and this is deliberately designed to keep crews on their toes. The final part of the regularity took in the stunning beauty of Holland's Clough Moor, the hilly landscape under a darkening sky looking quite dramatic and just a little bit lonely. Lunch at Haddon Hall would no doubt revitalise the cruise.
The morning's been really, really fun. There's been quite a few hills which have not been our friend. We're a bit slow up them, and we've also had a bit of traffic coming towards us, which meant we had to reverse, which hasn't been ideal, so we've dropped quite a bit of time, but the route has been amazing and the regularities have been so much fun that I don't really care at the moment. I'm just having a great time.
For nearly everyone, mud was an obvious issue.
Mud on the inside of the windscreen that's more of a problem. According to the navigator, going too fast when it's wet and muddy, and it just covers. She complained a lot when she had the mud on her glasses. That was the real problem.
Amateur Hullock.
Crews needed to fortify themselves well because after lunch it would be at least 8 hours before they reached the final control of the day at Redworth Hall. The Derbyshire Dales were present crews with a brace of regularities, some on paved roads, some on less than ideal surfaces. Oh, those poor cars. Navigating through the maze of dry stone-walled lanes and farmers' fields proved tricky for some as our crews churned up the soft ground. But once back on paved roads, there was time to take in the stunning scenery of Batings Reservoir and prepare for the coming of dusk. In several places along the route, brief downpours played havoc with visibility, and while most kept dry under their roofs, the chill rain wasn't very welcome for those in open-top cars. Teams were finally able to warm up with a hot drink during a brief stop at Colne Golf Club in Lancashire.
It finally got cold. The heated jacket has had to come on. I've got 2 batteries left. So long as they make it until 9 o'clock, I'll be happy. But no, we're enjoying it. It was a little bit wet. Everybody told there'd be no rain. I beg to differ. So we're coping. We're not particularly dry, but we're still happy. We're still enjoying it.
Back into the night, and the crews would encounter another batch of tests in worsening conditions. Patrick and Hubert Lynch flung their Morris Mini Cooper around the cones with gusto. Paul Crosby proved yet again that even a little rain couldn't slow him down as he continued to press on in pursuit of the championship title. After a brief stop for a hot bowl of soup at the Wensleydale Creamery, crews were back out on the road again. The night section now consisted of a long regularity over Aysgarth, Castle Bolton and Grinton Moor, followed by a time control section over Catterick Garrison to finally arrive at Redworth Hall Hotel.
So you've had a good day?
We had a fantastic day. Yeah, dropped down the rankings a little bit, but we've had a fantastic day.
Our performance has been, I would say, average. Not great, not bad. A few overshoots, one major issue where we overshot a crossroads and couldn't turn around. Apart from that, no, we're getting on. We're still talking to each other and enjoying ourselves. The car has had a few bumps, but it seems to have got away relatively unscathed. So we just keep our fingers crossed.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. We visited places we shouldn't have done, and we didn't visit places we should have done.
Oh, so you appear to be getting the car dirty.
Never been so sideways in a Bentley 4 1/4 in my life. Absolutely brilliant fun. I really don't think it matters what car you do this event in. It's so good. It's always going to be a great event, great fun. Absolutely buzzing. More of that tomorrow, please.
Saturday and leg 2 of the Rally of the Test.
At the moment we're at the top of the leaderboard, but it's only about halfway through, less than halfway through, so anything can happen. Probably will.
Well, it's an entertaining rally, that's for sure. Very tough Rally of the Tests this year. Guy and Anthony have put a lot of hard work into making the event very challenging.
Today's route would see crews behind the wheel for a marathon 12 hours, covering 280 miles through the northern part of the Lake District and back to Redworth Hall. As usual, spirits were high.
Ten seconds.
10 miles away, Raby Castle was to be the location for 2 tests. These open and flowing tests were ideal for the more powerful machines. Armed with their classic 911, the team of Owens and Mitchell seemed to be relishing the challenge of such open tests.
Right side down there. Another cornboard there, it's around 90 right, about probably 2. Well done, good fun.
Another one again.
Good morning, thank you.
A good fast.
Yeah, something like that.
Leaders Paul Crosby and Andy Pullin seemed to suffer an early setback when a mechanical failure halted progress.
We broke a trackward end on the first test. Don't quite understand how, because we didn't seem to hit anything. There might have been something in the undergrowth or leaves or something. But anyway, we've broken a trackward end and we've limped through the second test, and now the guys are just having a look at it, see if they can fix it for us.
So that could be out then?
Well, let's be positive and say we could be in still.
With help from the Hero Assist crew, a repair was effected, which allowed them to get on their way again without penalty. The first regularity of the day was named Garrigill and was relatively straightforward, with the map showing just the regularity start and finish references and the instruction to follow the coloured roads only. It wasn't all plain sailing though, as the section had 4 speed changes and 2 timing points. The morning's coffee stop was at Hearthside Summit, ideally placed for taking in the beautiful views.
We're at Hearthside Top Cafe in the fog. We've had a beautiful sunny day until here, and then suddenly the fog's come down, so we're up in the clouds. Not quite sure exactly where. Have to ask my navigator.
What we're doing up here, we're meant to be enjoying the lovely view, but this is the only hilltop around that's got cloud on it. Everything else has been lovely.
A short drive took crews to the second regularity of the day, which would prove to be a demanding undertaking with no less than 5 timing points and 4 speed changes to contend with. The final action of the morning was a test at the Lake District Wildlife Park, where the real challenge was negotiating the mud and the loose in the farmyard. Again, the more light and nimble machines would prove to be the most suitable for the tight confines around the farm sheds. The rough tracks at the outer estate proved to be every bit the off-road experience, typical of what has come to be expected from the Rally of the Test. Thankfully for the crews, the lunch stop was practically next door at the spectacular Armathwaite Hall, one of the Lake District's finest hotels and spas. The hall is owned by Charles Graves, who was also quite fittingly a competitor on the rally. Some seemed happy with their performance, while others took the time to check on the results of the morning so far. Crews were then treated to a fortifying meal. Famed Formula One commentator Tony Jardine was an interested visitor.
Well, now it's been announced that I'm doing the jog, which is fantastic news, in the Arrive and Drive Hero car. I've had an invitation to come on Rally the Tests and see and absorb as much as I can and learn a little bit more about regularity rallying and rallying through tests. So just soaking it all up, and every little bit I learn, I'm hopeful that I can put it into practice when we get to the big one, the long one, the jog.
The navigation is always so challenging. You've got to make sure you watch every possible nook and cranny, because Guy will definitely find it if you don't. That's what the challenge is, to sort of at least equal Guy's mind or beat him, but it's impossible to beat Guy, as we know. So.
Over lunch, crews were presented with instructions for the next regularity, which took in the valley roads of Little Mel. 3 timing points and 4 speed changes exposed the crews to a bit more of the route planner's trickery. Pulling into the Walcop training area, it didn't take crews long to notice the sounds of live ammunitions firing. Walcop is used 7 days a week by the British military as a training ground, and while public safety in the area is paramount, the not-so-distant sound of gunfire added a heightened sense of excitement to the 3 tests undertaken on mixed surfaces. De Vargas, Machuca and Bloxham adopted a cunning plan, finding reverse gear to be most helpful in negotiating the test. After Walcop, the next regularity featured what many enthusiasts feel is a real hallmark of past road rallies: long, undulating stretches of roadway. Such routes are often said to be nadgery in nature, a term that's come to mean the road twists and winds away and can be tricky or difficult for the navigator to call corners, especially at dusk where the shadows grow longer. Crossing the ford in Moorland, crews made a brief stop at the Appleby Golf Club before the final, very long regularity of the evening. Undercarriage damage from one of the tests had Thomas De Vargas Machuca concerned.
I had the back end out on one of the tests and I must have hit something. It's closed the pipe of the exhaust, which is actually very lucky because that's all the thing I've hit, but it's been rattling ever since, and I don't know whether the silencer is hitting on the sump or vice versa, but we'll find out. Hopefully not terminal, surely not, and more to go tonight.
We've been pretty hectic. Suspensions being smashed, rear axle, tie rods breaking, you name it, we've done it. It's a privilege to be here and work on these cars. They're beautiful, and the scenery today, driving, has been stunning. So the drive has been fantastic. It's been worth it alone. So great atmosphere, really good people, and really enjoying the event.
It's off now. The alternator's packed up, and when we fixed it, the belt broke, and then we fixed it, and then it packed up. So the whole thing seized, which is why the belt flew off, and we thought we fixed it, but we haven't. So then we changed the alternator, that hasn't worked, and now the boys are going to rebuild the alternator in about 7 minutes.
Here.
3, 2, 1.
The final push towards Redworth Hall saw Steve Entwistle and Ali Proctor marginally ahead of Crosby and Pullen with the least penalties accrued. John Abel and Martyn Taylor were, however, the actual overall leaders due to the other teams being ineligible for awards.
It wasn't too bad, to be fair. We had a couple of little hesitations and not quite understanding which way we're supposed to go, but it only cost a small amount. So generally we've had a very good afternoon. Much better than this morning.
Sunday, and the final leg of the rally would see crews complete the journey to the finish line at Harrogate.
We're second overall in the ones that qualify, and I think we're about 5th overall on the actual leaderboard. We've still got Brant's trip problems, so we had to do another reg yesterday with no trip, so that's just my feel. So unfortunately we're sliding backwards, but we'll try and hold out today. Lost first gear as well, so that means today on the test I'll have to start off in seconds if we can limp round till the end. But it's been a great event.
Oh, it's been going really well, but more tiring than I thought. It's much harder than London, Lisbon. But we're here, we're still running, so good luck, you know, we're up and onwards. Upwards and onwards, or onwards and upwards.
After an initial set of early morning tests, it was time for the regularities. With the sun shining, morale was very high, and despite the jostling on the leaderboard from the previous night, the competitive spirit hadn't waned one bit. Dry conditions must have pleased Julia Robertson, since there was little chance of getting mud inside the car today. The final regularity, named Rip and Row, takes crews through the lanes west of Masham to the morning coffee break at Lightwater Valley Theme Park. 2 tests would see crews negotiating fierce dinosaurs and funfair rides. Jonathan Turner and Ben Cousins in their Morris Mini Cooper were making the most of Jurassic Park. Having dealt with the dinosaurs, it was onto the open road and heading for the next set of tests. The 4th test of the day through Woodland saw Paul Dias and Andrew Kellett pushing their Volvo to the limits. Dias showing off all of his car control skills. By the last lunch stop of the rally at Bowcliff Hall in Bramham, and as we were near the end of the competition, it was becoming evident who was leading the pack and by what margin.
We're in the lead in the eligible cars at the moment by, I think, about a minute and a half, something like that. So it's not a huge lead, but it's a lead, so we're happy with that.
The final test of the rally were to be at the famous Harewood Hill Climb in West Yorkshire, which boasts the distinction of being the longest hill climb in Britain. Off to a roaring start were Steve Sly and Nick Green in their Triumph TR6, who were seemingly unable to stay on the black stuff. Bloxwich and Ude in their 911 ended the competitive test of the rally with a blistering time of 2 minutes 17, claiming top spot on the hill climb. Harewood Hill Climb was seen by many as the icing on the cake and an excellent finish to an outstanding rally of the test. As teams arrived at the Majestic Hotel in Harrogate, there was much to appreciate about a well-run rally.
And I really enjoyed it. What a finish to the rally. Bramham Park and Harewood Hill Climb. What a finish. Really enjoyed it.
Well done. Well done. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really close all the way through. A lot of competition from everyone.
It's been a really good, challenging event. Some great scenery and lots to keep crews on their toes.
The tests have been fantastic as always. It is the rally of the test after all, and some of them were just awesome.
What an experience. So well organised, the quality of the tests, the whole event. Really enjoyed it.
What a great event. Absolutely fantastic. We'll be back next year.
To revive the RAC brand, which is part of British motoring history, I think is really important, and I'm really proud to be part of it actually.
Winners of the RAC Rally of the Tests, John Abel and Martyn Taylor.
Martyn's done a fantastic job, was a brilliant navigator, and we've had a brilliant time.
To finally actually manage to get a win in the bag on this one means a huge amount to me, so what a fabulous rally. Not quite sure how they're going to top this one.
So final positions for the RAC Rally of the Test 2017 sees John Abel and Martyn Taylor in top spot, followed by Howard Warren and Ian Tully and Paul Wignall and Mark Appleton. In the race for the Hero Cup, driver Paul Crosby is way ahead of Jane Wignall and Stuart Anderson, while Martyn Taylor leads the Golden Roamers ahead of Ian Canavan and Elise White. As the story of the championship continues, join us next time for Le Jog.